556.
Thanks, Wes.
This is Paul Feinbaum. That'll do it for me today. Coming up next, The Drive with Wes Neighbors and Steve Moulton on 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
This hour is brought to you by Woody Anderson Ford, Alabama's F-150 Superstore. Welcome to The Drive with Wes Neighbors and Steve Moulton. Call into the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline, 256-576-4977.
That's how I roll. And I'm not going to drink and drive anymore.
That's 256-576-4977. Now, here's Wes and Steve.
Had a way to mess up a 4-run lead, Braves.
Well, we're not A.J. Minter. Tomato can.
We welcome you into this edition of The Drive. That is Drudy Armand filling in for Wes Neighbors. Only 1 hour on the horn for you today, leading up to the 88th edition of the NFL Draft, as we get you set for the NFL Draft. And it's going to have a crimson feel to the first 5 picks. I'll bare minimum say that, Drudy Armand.
I don't think there's any question about it. I just hope these Will Levis rumors aren't true.
Oh,
I don't want to hear from Jeff from the Borough.
Oh, my gosh.
You know what I'm saying? I'll never hear the end of it.
So there's very few players that if the Falcons actually draft Will Levis, I will put my fandom up for bid and no longer be. And keep in mind, I'm still a Falcon fan after 28-3. Okay,
don't even mention that. I've never really been emotional after an NFL game, and my mother had to calm me down.
I watched that Super Bowl with.
You watch
with
it
Coach
again?
Fuller?
I could. Live.
I was there with Coach Fuller.
I was going to say, how can you watch that again? I could never watch that game again.
Oh my God. No. I watched it live.
Oh.
So a little behind the scenes on this. It was me, my wife, Coach Fuller and his wife over in Ackworth at the time. And so I've got access to the stats monitor.
Yeah.
And it's something my wife gets a big kick out of, because I was looking ahead, and the great catch by Julio.
Oh, it should have been one of the great in Super Bowl history. Nobody ever remembers that.
So
nobody.
I'm giving, because the stat monitor is ahead of the feed that we're watching there in Ackworth. So I'm like, hey, here it comes. And then all of a sudden, well, here it comes. Well, here comes overtime. Well, here comes this. And at one point, Coach Fuller's wife, Miss Marilyn, said, "Wow, you don't understand that. Steve's really good at this. I mean, he's really good at this." And my wife just kind of rolls her eyes and says, "Yeah, stat monitor," and she doesn't know what stat monitor means.
Yeah.
But, nonetheless, that was memorable for that occasion. But yes, if the Falcons do select Will Levis, and I've been a Falcon fan my entire life. Yeah. I grew up on Steve Bartkowski, William Andrews, you name it. I can go down the list.
Yeah.
But I am telling you this. If Will Levis is an if Anthony Richardson is an Atlanta Falcon, goodness gracious.
Now, I will say this. I did tell Chad this, because our resourceful radio engineers, whiz kid Chad Guathny's also
are everything, man.
Yeah. I did say this. If he's there at 8, Steve, and the Falcons don't trade up, and C.J. Stroud, all this speculation about him slipping out of the top 7. Yeah. If he's there at 8, I would draft him if I were the Falcons.
Yes, I would have no problem.
Look, I mean, I've said it on Talking Ball many times about how all these Ohio State quarterbacks have busted in the NFL, and they have. And they can't count Joe Burrow, because he did not ever start for Ohio State. Jalen Hurts started for Alabama for 2 years. You cannot count Joe Burrow. You cannot. Cal Turd did not even know that Joe Burrow was at Ohio State.
That's right.
Okay, so you can't.
He said
count
it to Urban Lyer's
face. Yeah, he did. He said he what? No, you cannot count that. Okay, so all the others have flopped. But I do like Stroud. I think he's the third best quarterback prospect because I like Hooker second. Okay, but if Stroud is at 8, if I were the Falcons, I would take him because I'm not sold on Desmond Ridder. I think it would be a worthwhile gamble.
I 100%
Even though
agree.
a guy like Jalen Carter could be there, that would be a really good pick. I just don't see him taking Bijan Robinson, the running back. I don't think they'll take a running back. But unless maybe Jalen Carter, Stroud, all these guys are gone. Mm-hmm. But to me, they do need a quarterback long term. And if you could get a C.J. Stroud, who many people think could still go number 2 or number 3, then you take him. But I'll just say this: if I'm DeMeco Ryans and Bryce Young is gone, and I think he will be number 1, I take Will Anderson. He's a defensive coach. You need an impact defender. The last time you were good, J.J. Watt, you built around. You build around Will Anderson. And so I just think it would be a really good pick. And then with the 12th pick, to me, you take Hendon Hooker. I think that would be 2 outstanding picks.
If we get Hendon Hooker, I will be the biggest Falcon fan.
So would you take Hendon Hooker 8? Or would you try to trade back up into round 1?
If I could trade down into the 20s and still get Hendon Hooker, I would do it in a
So
New
you're
York
saying
minute.
you'd even trade out of 8? If somebody else was wanting to trade up, maybe you get Jalen Carter if he's there. Or,
something.
Somebody's dropping.
Yeah.
Well, I'll just say this, and I said it on Talking Ball repeatedly. There is no way that I would take Will Levis or Anthony Richardson in the first round. None. We had Brian Bosarge on this morning, and he's got them both ranked as like late second, if not third round picks. And there's no way, I don't care how desperate you are for a quarterback. Did anybody watch that Kentucky-Florida game last year? It was the battle of the inept, and then Bosarge put it in the best possible way you could put it. He goes, Drew, I watched with my own eyes as Will Levis threw for 109 yards and lost to that powerhouse, the Vanderbilt Commodores. And then he said, and Anthony Richardson also lost to the Vanderbilt Commodores.
Sure did.
He goes, how can you draft them in the top 5 or even in the first round? It's crazy. I mean, to me, it's unfathomable. I mean, I watched what C.J. Stroud did to Georgia. That guy can throw. He has potential. I can see him going in the top 10 to 15. And then Hendon Hooker, especially if he doesn't get hurt, but even though getting injured, the impact he had at Tennessee, I see him as a first-round pick. But that's the only 3 quarterbacks I see as first-round picks. To me, potential gets you fired.
If there is a player, if you're a Titans fan in our listening area, and I know we've got a lot of Titans fans that are at least PSL holders that travel up each and every home game for the Titans, I wonder if there is a player, much like I have in the back of my mind, of putting up my fandom up for grabs if you draft X player. 256-576-4.
If you draft Richardson or Levis, jump in the lake.
I guess we do need to touch on a certain Notre Dame quarterback committing to go to the Crimson Tide. What is your immediate thought on that, Drew Yarman?
Well, as you could expect, Steve, I've been following this for the last 24 hours, and if I had $1 for every direct message or every text or every, dang.
Early retirement for Double D?
I'll just, the dang meaning, of course, Rush Pros. If I had every, I could retire probably, all the questions you've been asked, but just following this since yesterday, and really late the night before when you found out.
Has anybody entered the portal as of 5/10?
No, not for Alabama.
All right.
So that's the thing. So that's what's interesting. And when I knew that he was in the portal, and Tyler Buckner, and then when I confirmed he was in Tuscaloosa, and then confirmed even that he was in Tuscaloosa late last night, because there was some thought that he was going to go to Auburn yesterday. And when
I heard what was it, Bama, Auburn, and California.
Yeah, Cal Berkeley. But
his sister's going to school out there,
and he's from San Diego in Southern California. But we had Tim O'Malley on this morning from Irish Illustrated, and he continued to educate us on this kid. He won the job last year, and had a really good relationship with Rees. Rees actually talked Brian Kelly out of going into the portal 2 years ago. wanted this kid to have the shot, and then wasn't thrilled about going into the portal this time. But Marcus Freeman was like, look, man, Pine just wasn't it. We've got to get better. We got to have more competition. So we got to go into the portal. So they do go get Hartman, but he still believed in this kid. And so the interesting part was a lot of people thought maybe Hartman might go back into the portal and follow Tommy Rees, but he didn't because Rees' guy is actually Tyler Buckner. So when Buckner didn't play well in the Irish Spring game on Saturday, O'Malley basically told us they felt like he had a good spring, but that he almost had 2 feet out the door by the time the spring game happened.
Yeah.
Hartman outplayed him. Looks like he's going to be the starter. So he follows Tommy Rees. And I just strongly believe this happened because Alabama expects some attrition at the quarterback spot. They didn't want to go into the season. They believe in Ty Simpson, but he's had 30 snaps. And he still needs to mature and win the job, win the team. And if you have 2 freshmen behind him, and I'm talking about true freshmen, Dylan Lonergan, who played well in the 8-8 game, and Eli Holstein, who had moments throughout the spring, that's all you got. And so I think they wanted an experienced hand to push Ty Simpson. I strongly believe Ty's still going to be the quarterback. But now I believe the next domino to fall by the 30th is for Jalen Milroe to exit stage left and get into the portal. Because I expected some attrition, Steve, at the quarterback position for Alabama, but I thought there'd be separation in spring, maybe Ty Simpson starting to pull away. It didn't happen. And I think Milroe is bothered because he didn't separate, and now he is not guaranteed to be the starter going into the fall. And he's going into his 3rd year at Alabama, redshirt sophomore, and if he doesn't win the job with these young guys, if a young guy beats him out, you got no future at Alabama.
Yeah.
And now you don't have to sit out.
Yeah.
You can go get some NIL money. And if you try to battle and win the job in the fall and you don't, you've basically burned another year. So I think he wants to go somewhere else. He's trying to find a place to land.
Does he have 2 or 3 years left?
Look, I think it's 3, but it might be 2. I even said this today earlier. I can't keep up with this COVID.
I think it's 3, but
I think
I'm not
he's got
100%
3.
sure.
I really think he does.
Okay.
And so
this COVID stuff.
yeah, it just messes with your
Yeah.
head.
Yeah.
But I think, I just because he was on the back end of COVID.
Yeah.
So I think he's got 3. And so to me, I would watch. I was told to watch a school like TCU, but they took a quarterback from Oregon State yesterday, and so now I would even watch a school like Baylor. Who's back in Texas. Dave Aranda. They run a different type of scheme. They like the mobility at the quarterback position.
Who's the OC at Baylor? I'll have to look that up. I don't know that off the top.
Because Kendall Briles is now the one at TCU, and he likes
yeah.
the style of QB that Milroe is. I'll be honest with you, I'm not sure who the OC at Baylor is under Dave Aranda, but I know that he runs a scheme.
Jeff Grimes.
Oh, well, cool. I should have remembered. Yeah, Auburn's Jeff Grimes. Yeah, that's right, because he was thought to be a candidate to rejoin the Auburn staff. As maybe OC, even head coach. So that's my apologies there. I forgot about Jeff, and he's done a good job there.
Forgot too.
But so I just think when you look at a guy like Milroe, he could end up still at TCU. Maybe they can add another quarterback. Look, I mean, Ole Miss added 2. But but I still think Baylor would be a school to watch too. And I just think overall, I can't see Milroe staying. It could happen, but I just can't see Milroe staying when he knows they just brought in another guy.
On a related note, I am surprised we have not seen more. Even a place like Ole Miss, where they stockpiled quarterbacks pretty good. I really thought after the spring that he was going to lose 2 quarterbacks. I know he's lost a quarterback there in Oxford, but I thought he was going to lose more than 1. Wow. And I'm talking about the guys that just went in, like a Walker Howard or Sanders. I thought one of those 2 guys may go into the portal again.
Sanders would have been my pick, but, Howard, I think they've sold him on being the quarterback of the future. He wasn't guaranteed to be that at LSU because of Nussmeier, because of other guys they're recruiting in the current class. And Jaden Daniels with all this COVID, hell, he might have another year. Who knows?
Well, Hugh Freeze said it at the Auburn ambush in Atlanta.
Right.
He was asked about this cycle. He said he was surprised about the lack of, he didn't say quality depth, but I'll say quality depth in terms of trying to grab a guy during this cycle.
Yeah, and that's what I said. Until Buckner went into the portal, there was nobody Alabama that I thought would be connected to and pursue at quarterback. And then when Buckner went in, you could see it. But I only see it if there's other attrition.
By the way, Bama fans, go look at his Marshall film.
Yeah.
You'll enjoy that.
Yeah, he didn't play well. The whole team didn't play good. You know what I'm saying? But he did play decent against Ohio State. Against the Sucks.
Your answer is someone who lost to Marshall? Is that what you're telling me?
And then,
is that what you're telling me?
And then think about that. I mean, Tim O'Malley, he made a great point. He said he's the only player. He said he's kind of polarizing. Because there's people wondering about his skill set. He said he's an outstanding runner, much better runner than Ian Book, who was a good runner in his own right.
Yeah, he was.
He said, but he's not as savvy as Ian, not the passer. He has to develop as a passer, but he's an outstanding runner. And so he said he's a plus runner. He said, but he's polarizing because he's the only player in history, Steve Moulton. He was MVP of the Gator Bowl against South Carolina, but he threw 2 pick sixes. He threw 2 pick sixes to the other team, and he was still MVP of the Gator Bowl.
That's just throwing multiple touchdowns. I mean.
Yeah. So I do think he's quality depth, but I still like Ty Simpson. And I've gone back and I've watched the film after watching it at A-Day. And then that's especially when you find out he had a fractured thumb, basically, a dislocated thumb.
What, he did it day one?
He did it in Series 3. He did it on a helmet.
That's right.
And he played the majority of it with that injury, and he still threw the ball well. And he ran the ball well. Ty has all the talent. He just needs reps. And having someone push him will be fine, but I just can't see Milrose staying if he's not going to be the guy and sacrificing another year of eligibility. And I just think he and his father and his camp probably see the writing on the wall since he didn't separate, and I'll be surprised if he doesn't move on.
Buckner's line against Marshall on September the 10th, 18 of 32, no touchdowns, 2 picks.
Both of them were touchdowns.
So technically he threw 2 touchdowns that day. They just happen to be wearing that other shade of green.
Right.
201 through the air. He was sacked once, and he ran the ball 13 times for 52 yards. Ran it in for 2 touchdowns.
That's the 2 touchdowns on the ground, see.
Yeah. So he was responsible for 4 scores.
So he had not played since early in the season. So, you know what I'm saying?
That was week 2 of the season.
Nowhere to go but up.
No, I thought isn't that the Gator Bowl you're talking about?
No,
or is that Marshall.
I was bringing up the Marshall.
Oh, okay. Well,
the Gator Bowl was 7 touchdowns. I just went and looked. 2 to the other team.
Oh, was it?
Oh, okay. So he accounted for 5 for himself and 2 for the other.
Yes, and 2 for South Carolina.
Well, as Tim said, he took it good-naturedly. He says, well, I helped the other team out, too, so I'm responsible for 7 touchdowns.
By the way, I do need to update you on a couple other stories that are out there. Brandon Marcello put out possible dates for the college football playoff when it expands to 12 teams coming up in 24. Look for midweek games. Friday, December the 20th. As well, the first round will be the 20th through the 21st. The quarterfinals look to be on Tuesday, December 31st, Thursday, January 2nd, and Wednesday, January 1st. I guess he kind of did that in a bass-backwards form right there. The semifinals on Thursday, January 9th, and Friday, January the 10th. Again, this is not this season. We're talking about next season in 2024. A little closer to home. They were up at Falcon Crest earlier today. They did not tee it up for the first round. I have no updates for the first round because it did not tee off today. But don't worry, the boys will be back up there on the ledges for day number 2. They're going to start the first round tomorrow morning at 6:32. In other words, that's usually when Drew DeArmond's getting out of bed and getting himself ready for talking ball.
Today I was driving through the fog. I felt like Jack the Ripper was fixing to come out.
Oh, well, you know what? There was a very St. Andrews feel.
Oh, it was unbelievable.
There.
We're talking pea soup.
Jay is on line 1. How are you, Jay?
How's it going, guys?
We're
good, Jay. I know you're better than AJ Minter right now.
Tell me about it.
Or Jesse Chavez.
Yeah.
Good, Granny. First of all, Drew, sorry I missed you the other night. We had baseball games.
I got you, man.
I know you did well, and had a good crowd. What about? I got a draft story, but what about is Dylan Longren? But could he get drafted this year in the MLB draft?
I think he is eligible, so it is possible now.
Oh boy!
Now that'll be interesting.
boy.
So I don't think he's considered a premium prospect. I think he's a good prospect. But what I mean is maybe drafted in the top 6 or 7, 8, 9, 10 rounds. I think he's a really good high school pitcher. I haven't heard that his stock would be that high. And, of course, he did not participate this year. He did not play baseball to increase his stock.
Okay.
So I would doubt. I think he was brought in because they wanted him to compete. They needed numbers at the quarterback spot. Now, could he eventually pitch for Brad Bohannon? Yes. They recruited him, as did Stanford. That's why Stanford was trying to sign him. And when he got down to the nitty-gritty of the last few schools, there were several that were recruiting him in both sports. So, but I don't foresee, though, him being a high draft pick. Like, I will say this, I know Lincoln Sharman got Deuce Robinson, the tight end. He's probably a better baseball prospect.
That'd be Lincoln Riley for those that don't know the Druinary.
Yeah, he's an even better baseball prospect than Dylan. He's an outfielder. He could be a high pick, but we'll see. Because I don't believe he enrolled early. So Lincoln will have to sweat that out.
So
a little bit.
a quick sidebar. The reason I went there is I've had multiple people say, I listen to Drew Yarman, I don't know what he's saying half of the time.
Right.
So I said, you know what? As soon as I hear something, I will translate the Druinary so we can all understand, but at a certain point, we all do need to open up our Druinary.
All right, so Dan Orlovsky had this ordeal the other day talking about the Titans and Rand Carthen possibly trading for Trey Lance since he was the guy that drafted him a few years ago. So get Trey a lower pick, 3rd or 4th round pick, saving that 11th pick for possibly a receiver or something. What about that?
I'm hearing O-line for the Titans more than anything from what I'm reading.
Because Taylor Lewan's gone.
Yes. So I'm at least reading from The Athletic as well as 247 that the Titans are locked in on O-line, but I think that's not a bad thought right there.
I mean, he may do well. I mean, just get him away from out there. You know, he had to play against backup Jimmy Garoppolo. Now this whole Brock Purdy thing.
Yeah.
So it may work out. It may be a whole lot better than Ryan Tannehill. I mean, good granny. But something else I was going to say about. Oh yeah, you know, Steve, you're talking about this whole Buckner thing. You know, all we got to say is I was telling guys at work, in Saban we trust. He knows what he's doing.
Yeah, that's a fair point.
So you know, who knows?
All right.
But we'll see how it goes.
Mind them pups. Mind them pups.
Yes, sir. It's my neighbor's dog, and he quit chasing the mailman.
Oh,
have a great rest of the day. We'll talk to you soon.
Thank you, Jay. We have 2 Rays, and let's go Ray on line 2. How are you, Ray?
The one that matters.
Oh, wow.
There it is.
Ray dog.
Ray with his new dog. What's up?
Yeah.
Couple of things. One, I just heard the comment on the Titans, and it's been now. Granted, this is Twitter. Let's preface it. It's as smoky as the Legends was this morning, but so it's in the informational pipeline that the Cardinals are wanting to package DeAndre Hopkins in the 3rd overall pick, and they're chopping the Titans hard.
So you're telling me Vontae Mack no matter what? Is that what you're telling me, Ray?
I'm just the messenger. But for the really important question, and it's more for Drew than for Steve. God bless you, Steve.
Yeah.
You focus on the SEC. Drew watches a little more football.
A little.
So we all know that I'm a fan of the last team from the NFC South to win a championship.
Yeah.
But they got to rebuild the O-line. I'm seeing a lot of mock drafts with Broderick Jones, and Steve can speak to that a little bit, being he's from Georgia. But my instinct is to think that they take the kid from Northwestern because he translates a little more to guard at the next level, but can play tackle, and then come back in the second round and maybe take the kid out of Oklahoma and put him at right tackle and switch Tristan to the left side.
Yeah. I mean, I'm more interested in seeing what they do long term, and I don't think they're going to draft a quarterback in this draft, but I mean, because, well,
they're fine with Baker Mayfield, right?
I guess
they better be.
I mean,
the other one in Nashville in the preseason, the preseason.
Yeah, I mean,
you're good with Baker Mayfield. You're telling me you're good with Baker Mayfield? I just left Ray speechless.
I don't know. He.
Well, that's what happens when you invoke the name of Baker Mayfield.
I heard you say something, but I didn't really catch it. I swear. You're like in the middle of me talking.
Yeah.
Pull to me, Steve.
Well, I'll just say this, Ray. Steve, you've got it in front of you, or whatever. What pick does Tampa have in the first round?
19.
Okay. If he's there, I would draft Hendon Hooker. That's just me personally. I think he's underrated. And I think Tampa needs a quarterback going forward. I don't think Baker – he may resurrect himself. I don't buy it.
There's nothing I've seen that tells me Kyle Trask is the answer.
Yeah, exactly. I don't think Kyle Trask is the answer. I think he's a backup. But to me, Hendon Hooker –
You know who I think he can be? Blaine Gabbert.
Oh, well. But see, he's a backup, though.
He had about a season and a half that was serviceable.
Yeah.
I mean.
Blaine Gabbert?
Yeah. About a serviceable. I would never say serviceable for.
Yeah.
Ray, we are right up against a break. I appreciate the
Thank you for the call,
sir. Always good to hear from Ray Dog. Let's take our first time out. Ray, I promise we'll get right to you right on the other side.
You're listening to The Drive with Wes Neighbors and Steve Moulton on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
Rambo Marine in Hazel Green is your one-stop shop for all things boating. Whether you are ready to surf with the newest Malibu wake boat or cruise on a Cobalt or Barletta pontoon, we have a boat ready for you and your family. Rambo Marine provides exceptional service second to none, so that you are ready to hit the water in no time. Stop by Rambo Marine today. We know boats.
Chapman Commercial Realty, your source for Alabama commercial real estate. Chapman Commercial Realty has the experience and expertise you're looking for when making commercial real estate decisions. If it's office space, retail space, investment property, or project development, Chapman Commercial Realty is your answer. Call Bill Chapman today at 256-656-8413. That's 256-656-8413. Or find them online at chapmancommercialrealty.com.
New name, new players, and an even better championship experience. This April, the Korn Ferry Tour returns to the Rocket City for the 2023 Hometown Lenders Championship at the Ledges. Experience the beauty and drama of the Ledges in person as golf's rising stars chase their PGA Tour dreams. From the first man on the green to the roar of the crowd when the final putt drops. Be part of every moment of the Hometown Lenders Championship at the Ledges from April 24th through April 30th. Tickets to be a part of the action are on sale now at HTLChamp.com.
Hey folks, Bobby White back again for Woody Anderson Ford. If you've been considering owning a new Mustang, Explorer, Expedition, Edge, Escape, or Bronco Sport, we have 0% financing for 60 months on 22 models of those vehicles. This won't last long because as we sell off our 2022s, 0 for 60 goes with it. When they're gone, they're gone. Let me repeat, Woody Anderson Ford has 22 models of Bronco Sport, Explorer, Escape, Edge, Expedition, and Mustang with financing as low as 0% for up to 60 months. But when they're gone, it's gone. And of course, it's with your good credit through Ford Motor Credit. This offer ends April 29th. Woody Anderson Ford can also help you trade in and trade up on a Ford Blue Advantage Gold Certified or Blue Certified pre-owned vehicle. great warranties, 24-hour roadside assistance, and a full tank of gas and a fresh oil change. Don't forget 0 for 60 on select 22 models while they last. Woody Anderson Ford, hope to see you soon.
If you're ready to lower your utility bills, it's time to call Eagle Insulation. Eagle can handle it all. Attic re-insulation, insulation removal, wall insulation, and new construction insulation, commercial and residential. Our primary goal is to save you money, and lots of it. Typical clients realize their return on investment within 3 to 6 months. That means the re-insulation actually pays for itself and then some. See if we can help you. Contact Eagle Insulation today, 256-755-1556, or log on insulatewitheagle.com.
No representation is made that the quality of legal services to be performed is greater than the quality of legal services performed by other lawyers.
A wise man once said, if you take care of old folks and children, everything in the middle will take care of itself.
Hi, I'm Danny Aldridge, lawyer in Alabama and Tennessee. In the next 20 years, the number of those folks over 65 years of age will more than double. In our golden years, the most important goal is to be treated with dignity and have control over doing what makes you grateful with those you love. At the Aldridge Law Firm and the Legal Town Center, we're dedicated to help you with these goals, and we'll be there when life throws you those inevitable curveballs. Let us assist you with your legal needs, whatever they may be or become. You may reach us by phone at 256-534-3188 or online with Dan at danaldridgelaw.com. Just remember, we're here to help. Whether it's personal injury, wrongful death, fraud and cheat, or estate planning made complete, we're here to help.
This segment of The Drive is brought to you by Woody Anderson Ford, located online at woodyandersonford.com with 2 locations, Hughes Road in Madison and Jordan Lane in Huntsville.
Double up on your zone deals this week. Right now, Zoom Indoor Cycling is available. It's $50. You get $100 worth at Zoom Indoor Cycling. And trust me, I'm looking at it myself. And I used to bike quite a bit. It's a chance to pedal your way back in, so that way you can eat more burgers. So tomorrow morning is Bad Daddy's Burger Bar. That will launch at 8 o'clock. So pick up your burgers, then pedal them off at Zoom Indoor Cycling. Ray, I promised I'd get right to you. The floor is yours, sir. Appreciate you holding.
Thanks. How are you guys doing?
Good,
doing
Ray.
Well. I'll be real quick so other people can get on and you guys will have some time to respond. And I guess I heard some chatter before on the radio about Kentucky fans were glad to see the O-line coach go, who's now at Alabama.
Mm-hmm.
And I just wondered if you guys think that the offensive line will take a step forward and anything's changed about them. And I'm not so much talking about them and what I saw in the 8A game. I'm just talking about just everybody they're going to have to go up against besides their own defense. And I just wonder also how you think Alabama's defensive line compares to the rest of the SEC. And I know they're not going to play Georgia unless they make it to the SEC championship, and Georgia's there too. But anyway, I'm just curious how, hypothetically, if they ended up there, how that matchup would go. And I guess I know Wes is not in the studio, but I know that he made some comments about the technique of the offensive line and how it just wasn't good last year, what he was seeing.
Yeah.
And I was just thinking, like, man, it seems like somebody close to the program would say something. I don't know. I mean, of course, it's all going to come down to the coaches. And I've often heard the thought about team chemistry, and I just wondered what you guys think about this last question. Is coaching staff chemistry even a thing? And I'll hang up and listen to you guys. Thanks for taking the questions, and I appreciate your show a lot. Thank you.
Thank you, Ray.
Well,
let's start with O-line.
Yeah, I mean, first of all, I don't think Kentucky fans were sad to see Wolford go because 2 years ago they were a Joe Moore Award finalist.
Yeah.
And he was, Now he wasn't there last year. I think Kentucky struggled. Alabama got better than they were under Doug Marrone, but they still weren't dominant. I think a lot of it was personnel driven because Elijah Pritchett got hurt and wasn't ready. They had to go out, and get a left tackle out of Vanderbilt to play on the left side. And I think he'll play in the NFL, but he wasn't a dominant football player. He's a good player, certainly. Again, and I think the biggest issue for Alabama was more inside, because I think McLaughlin was hurt some, and at times Dalcourt did not play well. And then I think Javian Cohen was the weakest link, and that's why he's at Miami. Tyler Booker came on and took his job, and I think the O-line, when you watched them the second half of the season, they started playing better. And plus they stuck to the running game. And that second half of the Ole Miss game going forward, 35-40 rushes, and that's why they played better. Now, they still gave up some pressures, but Bryce is a magician. And to me, the two biggest areas of concern going into fall camp for Alabama are pass protection, because they've got to protect whoever the quarterback is, which I think is going to be Ty Simpson, and then the defensive line, because I've never been sold on Freddie Roach, at least since he got to Tuscaloosa. I was excited when he came back, and I thought they got better as the year went on in 20, but I thought in 21 they were inconsistent, and then they didn't stop the run at key times. And then last year I thought they just took a step back. I mean, I thought they were the weakest link why Alabama lost the two games to LSU and, of course, to Tennessee, because they gave up 180-plus yards rushing. And so I just think overall when you look at it, I do think they're going to improve. The pressure points are going to be, can Elijah Pritchett hold off Caden Proctor, and can and after this they were trying to replace Tyler Steen from Vandy at left tackle, and can Darian Dalcourt hold on to left guard, because I think TJ Ferguson has really improved. But I still think their O-line is going to be better, and I love the second group because they're all the young players. Now, Proctor's one of them right now. He may move into the first group, but they've got Wilkin Formby, who's a good young tackle, a hard worker, Olas Alinen at guard, who's a really good young player, hopefully another Mike Johnson for me. That's the comparison I would use down the road. And then, of course, Rock Montgomery, who's another guard who I think has a chance to be really good, could even move to center. And then we'll see about Miles McVay. Is he going to be a tackle? Is he going to be a guard? Could Montgomery end up moving to center if Brockermeyer eventually transfers like his brother did, even though I thought James looked good in the spring as one of the backup centers. So we'll see, but I think the O-line is going to be improved. The D-line, it's going to depend on guys like Jamil Burrows, Tim Smith. They've got to be more consistent. Jaheim Otis has to take that next step. Getting Justin Aboigbe back was huge. You've got young players like James Smith, who's a true freshman, who is, I think, a really good player. Monkel Goodwine. They have players, and even Tim Keenan. But can Freddie Roach get enough out of those guys? So to me, I still have concerns about Roach and defensive line development for Alabama.
And also, Ray asked about the potential matchup. I think it's way too early because of so much that is leaving the University of Georgia as well on a potential matchup. We're going to have to see some games, at least in my opinion, before we thought it was going to be Alabama and Georgia this time last year, and that was not the case, as it ended up being Georgia and LSU. 256-576-4977, 256-576-4977. That is the number. Multiple reporters are tweeting out possible trades involving veteran players to be on the lookout for, include the likes of Trace Young, DeAndre Hopkins, Montrez Sweat, Ryan Tannehill, Dalvin Cook, Jonah Williams, Devin White, Trey Lance. Those are some of the higher names to be.
Trey Lance, a.k.a. Anthony Richardson's cousin.
Todd McShay was asked about the Titans' 11th overall pick. Here is the ESPN draft analyst?
Oof. Well, it depends on how hungry they are for moving up for a quarterback. And now that there's a lot of speculation that C.J. Stroud is not going to be the pick at number 2. I was standing there with Stroud at the pro day, and Vrabel came over and said, "Hey, go take a shower and let's meet in the wide receiver room." And there's a relationship there. And obviously, with Vrabel and his background at Ohio State, that doesn't mean that they're going to take him or want to move up for him. I'm just saying, like, there is a relationship there, and it's interesting now. But if Houston stays at 2 and takes a defensive lineman, then I think you got a real good chance to move up to 4. But you're going to be competing with the Colts, or 3. I mean, to that Arizona spot. But you're going to be competing with the Colts, and you're going to be competing maybe potentially with the Raiders at 7. So, how much are you willing to give up to go up and get that guy? But I mentioned it before. I mean, you've got a quarterback who's turning 35, 24th in QBR. The cap hit that he brings. The last 2 years, I believe 24 and 25 are avoidable years for Tannehill. So this seems like the time to draft a quarterback for your future. And so I'm interested to see how aggressive they get. Now, if they sit back at 11, who's going to be there? And maybe they love Anthony Richardson. Maybe they love Will Levis and one of those guys falls. And maybe it gets to, pick 7, 8, 9, and they can make it an easy deal to move up a couple spots to make sure that, like, Houston doesn't trade up ahead of them or Washington doesn't trade up ahead of them. Although I think they're comfortable with their situation for whatever reason. And then at 19, Tampa Bay. So that'll be interesting to see. And ultimately, if it's not quarterback, if those guys go fast, and I'm not sure that they will, but if they go fast, or if one of them's sitting there and Tennessee just doesn't like that quarterback, whether it's Levis or Anthony Richardson or even Hendon Hooker. I've heard some teams talk about him potentially in the first half of the first round. But if it's not quarterback, then I think offensive line and edge are probably the 2 areas that I would look for them to attack. And at 11, you'll have some pretty good options. I already mentioned all the offensive tackles and guys that could kick inside the guard for a year or for the long term with those top guys, Skoronski, Paris Johnson, the Tennessee offensive tackle, and Broderick Jones. So those 4 guys are going to be in that range, and you probably have the pick of 2 or 3 of those guys: Skoronski, Jones, Johnson, and Darnell Wright. And then edge, there are some, Lucas Van Ness from Iowa would fit the bill, and Nolan Smith, very different player, 238 pounds, but 4.4 speed and explosive off the edge, is another guy that could be a possibility there.
I keep hearing Skoronski's name being attached to the Titans.
Well, I mean, he's a Big Ten guy, so is Vrabel. Vrabel was a hard-nosed guy. I could see that fitting the Tennessee Titans, but I'm just saying, if they draft Will Levis or Anthony Richardson, if I'm Derrick Henry, trade me. Get on the horn and trade me.
Wasn't that part of the off-season headlines?
Yeah, but I was like, get me to Philly as fast as you can.
Bag of football, something. Get me out of here.
Yeah, I mean, because can you imagine Henry with the Eagles and the way they play? I mean, I just think that could win a Super Bowl. And I said that, everybody. Don't run off the road. I said that Jalen Hurts could win a Super Bowl. He almost won one last year.
Mel Kiper Jr., I had a chance to talk with Mel, man. This was the day before the pro day at the University of Alabama. Going to re-rack that conversation. So let's go ahead and take our timeout right now as we're walking you up to the 88th NFL Draft.
You're listening to The Drive with Wes Neighbors and Steve Moulton on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
Ann Adams with Berkshire Hathaway Rise Real Estate is the one name to know if you're buying or selling real estate. With years of local experience, Ann Adams offers buyers in-depth knowledge of the local housing market and will narrow available properties down to those you'll be interested in so you can save time when shopping for your new home. If you're ready to sell, Ann offers a seamless process using accurate pricing and expert negotiation skills to make sure you get a fair price for your home. Call Ann Adams today at 256-337-2625 or log on bhhsriserealestate.com.
At Bryant Bank, we believe your goals are worth chasing, and every step along the way is worth celebrating. From your hopes for the future to the challenges that keep you up at night, we're here for you. Bryant Bankers put care into action to help you live legendary by stepping up when you need us most and doing what's right even when no one is watching. Come experience a local bank whose people greet you by name and treat you like family. Bryant Bank, member FDIC.
There's something most of us fail to think about until something goes wrong, and that's our home's heating system. Hello, friends. My name is Rick Smith.
And I'm Cooper Constant here with Environmental Comfort Systems.
Heating and air conditioning failures can be one of the most inconvenient and worrisome events in any homeowner's life.
That's why we created our Comfort Care Club. Our members receive 2 scheduled maintenance visits per year, working around your schedule and not ours.
Regularly scheduled maintenance on your home's heating system before they become bigger and more expensive issues.
Even if you didn't purchase your system from us, our team of well-trained technicians can service and maintain your system, and we're just a quick phone call away. Becoming a Comfort Care Club member is as simple as calling us or visiting our website.
Give us a call today. Environmental Comfort Systems, your independently owned American Standard heating and air conditioning dealer. You can also visit us online at envcomfort.com.
You've got to experience Toyotathon at Bill Penny Toyota. They've got the selection with over 700 new Toyotas to choose from. And they've got the extras with Bill Penny perks and a 10-year unlimited warranty. So get on over to Bill Penny Toyota today and experience Toyotathon. Bill Penny Toyota in Huntsville and online at BillPennyToyota.com. Bill Penny's Toyota 10-year unlimited warranty is valid through the 10th year of ownership. Valid on new vehicles only. See dealer for details.
Are you tired of chasing a roofing contractor to show up on time or even show up at all? I'm Sam Fleming with Fleming Roofing and Restoration. Our motto at Fleming Roofing is we show up. Our goal at Fleming Roofing is to provide the reliable customer service that you deserve. And we have the resources to meet all of your roofing needs: residential, commercial, industrial, replacement, or repairs. We are manufacturer certified for roof coatings, single-ply membranes, and asphalt shingles. Whenever you need a roofing professional you can count on, call Fleming Roofing and Restoration. We are committed to finding the solution that meets your needs. We don't have quotas or heavy-handed sales tactics. Fleming Roofing, we have expert experience. We show up. Free estimates. Residential, commercial, industrial, replacement, or repairs. Check us out at FlemingHSV.com. FlemingHSV.com. When you need a quick response, it's Fleming Roofing and Restoration. We show up.
From the Fox 54 Weather Center, I'm Chief Meteorologist Jordan Dressman. Scattered showers and thunderstorms through the course of the afternoon. Some of those thunderstorms could be on the stronger end of the spectrum. We're talking about heavy rain and some gusty winds. The best chance for that looks like it's going to exist south of the Tennessee River. Temperatures climbing into the mid and upper 60s this afternoon, dropping into the upper 50s, lower 60s as we head into the overnight, early into your Friday morning. More dry Friday afternoon, but scattered showers and thunderstorms going to stay in the forecast. A partly sunny to mostly cloudy sky. Temperatures climbing into the upper 60s and lower 70s, dropping into the low 50s as we head into the overnight. Essentially a rinse and repeat process for your Saturday. A partly sunny to mostly cloudy sky. Scattered showers are going to be in the forecast. Temperatures climbing into the low and mid 70s. I'm Chief Meteorologist Jordan Dressman on your home for ESPN Radio, 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
There's the phone and no one to answer.
256-576-4977.
And as a result, we got many, many phone calls and letters.
Give us a call on the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline today. 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
So Ray number one, who called in,
right? Ray Sibley,
yeah, Ray Dog was mentioning
Tampa,
the potential trade between the Cardinals and Titans. Listen, I'm trying to fact check this a little bit.
Yeah,
it is lying season.
Oh, it is.
All
Mike
right?
Detillier, he talks about that all the time. How
It
it's
is
lying season.
Lying season. And I don't mean Detroit Lions, I mean lying season. And I have yet to see a legitimate source running with this story.
To be fair, it is never Detroit Lions season. I mean,
they had a little last year, a little,
well, and then
a
don't
little.
forget Eric Kramer and Barry Sanders during my childhood.
And now that
how long ago was that?
Well, you missed Wayne Fonts. You were like 2.
No, he wasn't.
He was
born.
like, they nicknamed Fonts Rasputin because he always rallied at the end of the season.
That sounds about right.
I had an opportunity to talk to Mel Kiper Jr. This was the day before the Pro Day in Tuscaloosa.
Thank you, Mel. Appreciate you doing this. I wanted to ask about Will Anderson in particular. Is there any negatives that you're hearing about the kid from Alabama?
I'll tell you what, he's a great kid. So you're character-wise, best ever. I mean, I don't know of anybody character-wise will ever touch in any position. He's going to be right up there with the greats in terms of character. You love the kid. I mean, he's all business. He wants to be great. He's a team guy. He's humble. You love him. You want him on your team. Is he? It's not a knock. It's just right. It's saying he's not Myles Garrett and Von Miller is not a knock. There's very few. There are Myles Garrett and Von Miller that have that incredible bend off the edge, that incredible first step quickness, and incredible explosiveness out of the blocks. That's not a knock. That's just the reality. Is there's only very few that are Myles Garrett and Von Miller. So for me, he's a shade below that. That's why I get into, is he an 8 to 12 sack a year guy? Is he an 18 to 20 sack a year guy? If you want the 18 to 20, probably not. If you want the 8 to 10 to 12, I think that's what he will be. And what did Aiden Hutchinson have this year? 9.5, 10 sacks? So we're raving about Aiden. Great year. He had 9.5, 10 sacks, 3 interceptions, got in the backfield a lot, was really disruptive. So you're happy with that, right? So if you get as a 10, 12 sacks, that's pretty good. So again, he might not be the elite of the elite, but he's going to be pretty doggone good. And that's why I say for Arizona, if you go from 3 to 7 in that area, you lose Will Anderson Jr. You go 3 to 4, you don't lose him. And that's assuming Indianapolis wants to move up. I don't know if they will or not, but if they stay at 3, Will Anderson Jr. is a heck of a pick.
And the one other question I have for you, Mel, is wide receiver class. How would you grade this wide receiver class? And which wide receiver has the best in-game speed, not necessarily the 40-yard dash time?
That's a great question on in-game speed, because that's all that matters. That really is all that matters. I think that the quickest guy is Zay Flowers to me out of Boston College. He's electric with the ball in his hands. People say he has these drops. I don't see them. I've watched a lot of Zay Flowers. I saw a couple, but it was nothing was on him. Ball was not perfect. He was trying to run before the catch. I don't see that. I think his hands are really good. He's a great kid. I think the guys that play fast, I think Jackson Smith and Jigba is deceptive, very deceptive in the way he's smooth. And I think he lulls some guys when they're taking angles after the catch into a false sense of security there. I think when you look at Josh Downs to me at North Carolina, really quick slot guy, really like him in the second round. I think you look at Cedric Tillman. He doesn't run great, but I tell you what, as a number 2 receiver, he will go get the ball in traffic. He'll make the tough catch. I think Tank Dell from Houston's a very underrated slot guy. Love him as a punt returner. Love the way he attacked the football. He's got to eliminate some of the focus drops at Houston that he had. But the receivers, I'll tell you what they are. They are some of these guys you'll hit on, and there's some guys that are going to miss. There's some hit or miss guys. So there's not a lot of guys you can say. Kayshon Boutte from LSU. It was expected to be a highly rated guy. Didn't test great. Didn't have the kind of year expected. How does he perform in the NFL? That's going to be interesting to see there. Then there's some guys who are also really good return men, like a Charlie Jones at Purdue. Was at Iowa, had a great year at Purdue. Gives you that return ability, as Tank Dell gives you that outstanding return ability. Darius Davis from TCU gives you outstanding return ability. So, a guy like another guy that I haven't mentioned yet that's a really good second-round pick gives you return ability as well as Jaden Reed from Michigan State. So there's a lot of guys, as there always are at wide receiver. But certainly, if you pick the right one, you'll be happy. But there's some guys that certainly out of this group will end up being somewhat disappointments.
Tomorrow is Alabama's Pro Day, and since Bryce did not throw at the Combine, it's not as if we're going to show up in Tuscaloosa tomorrow and he's going to be 6'3". So what does Bryce need to show teams tomorrow at the Pro Day?
See, that's a great question. I think pro days aren't as important as the private workouts for quarterbacks. And this will be a piece of the puzzle. And again, I think to see his stature, they're going to be coming from C.J. Stroud's pro day today. Now Alabama, then Will Levis, and then Anthony Richardson next Thursday. So you got boom, boom, boom. Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Stroud, Young, Levis. Next Thursday, Richardson. The stature. Is that something that bothers them with like I say, you can't change 5'10" and a quarter, 204. Also, what is he weighing today? He was 204. Is he still 204? As he added a couple pounds, as he lost a little weight, because we all wonder, what's he going to play at? We heard reports he was at 180, 185 at Alabama. What's he going to play at in the NFL? If you're 5'10 and a quarter, 180, 185, are you going to survive in the NFL, withstand punishment? Look at all the quarterbacks that played last year because everybody was getting hurt. Big, strong quarterbacks getting hurt. Josh Allen had to play through an ulnar nerve injury in his elbow. Jalen Hurts had to play through shoulder. Okay. Lamar Jackson's been hurt the last 2 years, couldn't finish the season. Okay, guys banged up all over the place. They're a lot bigger than 5'10 and a quarter, 200 pounds. So, and if you can maintain 200, I said 195 was the number, but can he maintain that through the year? Is it just manufactured weight? That's important. He doesn't have the howitzer for an arm. He's got a good arm, not an elite arm. He's not a guy that's going to be Kyler Murray running the football, but he can escape and he can move the chain. So he's good enough there. He's got the electric ability with in game day. He just sees things. He's got that great vision of the field. He's a tremendous processor. He gives the team a feeling that we're not going to lose this game. You just wish he was a little bigger. And that's all I can say. I mean, Bryce has everything. Arm strength's good enough. His mobility certainly is there. Is he a speedster? No, but he certainly can, move. Look at the Texas game. Now, he got help from what should have been a holding penalty in that Texas game when he escaped and got the yards to set up the field goal by Reichert to win that game. But, the big thing is, can you reconcile the size? Like I said, he will be the smallest quarterback to go in the common draft in the first round ever. So, he'll be he's the ultimate outlier. Doesn't mean he can't be great. And I think he will be if he can stay healthy. But as I say, Tua's been banged up. You got to hold your breath on him every week. Can he stay healthy? And I think with Bryce Young, you can say that about everybody. But when you're only 5'10 and a quarter, 200 pounds, that's the big concern.
And the last question I have for you, Mel, is about Hendon Hooker. Is there any chance he could be a first rounder?
I never say never, because I've been shocked before. I'm not going to project them to go in the first. I'm not going to have a mock draft of them in the first. I'm going to I have right now a second, third round grade on Hendon Hooker. You say, why the third? Because of the injury, the durability. He's had a couple injuries. He was hurt this year. He's going to be 25 years of age. Played in a quarterback-friendly offense at Tennessee with some really good receivers like Jalen Hyatt and Cedric Tillman and Drew McCoy, and some good offensive linemen. Darnell Wright did a great job neutralizing Will Anderson Jr. this year. So I think he could go second round. At worst, probably third round.
Thank you, Mel.
Sure.
Love Mel. Treats everybody with respect.
I mean, all I had to hear was you get a chance to talk to Mel Kiper, and I'm like,
yeah, all
absolutely.
About it, man.
I'll be up in Falcon Crest joining Talking Ball tomorrow in hour number 2.
We played the horns today. We played them.
Did you?
We played the horns on the show.
There you go. ESPN Radio's coverage of the 88th annual NFL Draft is next.
If you're ready to lower your utility bills, it's time to call Eagle Insulation. Eagle can handle it all. Attic re-insulation, insulation removal, wall insulation, and new construction insulation, commercial and residential. Our primary goal is to save you money, and lots of it. Typical clients realize their return on investment within 3 to 6 months. That means the re-insulation actually pays for itself and then some.